An ordinary man finds himself in a new world where he becomes the husband of the great demon queen, giving him the title of Demon King. Before then, Shang sits in his room, and he begins to think of how he has spent the whole summer in his house alone as his parents are working abroad, and he also does not have any friends around him. He goes to lay on his bed as he tells himself that he would continue playing his game the following day. But as he lays on the bed, he suddenly begins to doze off. Shang then wakes up and notices that the ceiling he is looking at is not that of his room, and he begins to tell himself out loud that he is no more in his house. He opens his eyes and he finds out that he is in another universe, as he is able to know because of their mode of dressing. Then a lady comes to meet him as he begins to slap himself to check if he is hallucinating from the games he had played. But the lady tells him that he is not hallucinating, as everything he is seeing is real. The lady goes to meet a priest, and she asks him if he is sure that Shang is the same man that possesses the magic ring. Shang asks them about the ring they are talking about, and they tell him that the ring on his necklace matches the one on the lady, who he eventually realizes that is the queen of the place. The priest tells him that he is the chosen one that would save their world, but Shang continues to ask them if they are sure that the ring on his necklace is the magic ring. The demon queen Isabella drags Shang, and she asks him why she did not feel any magic on him when he arrived, and he tells her that he bought the ring from a street store. As the demon queen hears this, she gets angry, and she walks towards the priest, and she asks him if the summoning spell she used is not working, as she does not think Shang is the right person. The priest tells her that the summoning spell was executed rightly, and Shang is the one that would save their tribe from extinction. Then Shang asks them who they are, and the demon queen tells him that her name is Isabella, and she explains the story of how Lillian, the head of another tribe, collided with some humans and attacked her, which made her lose most of her powers. Some ladies present also add their tribe is in trouble, and they do not know that the summoning spell would bring a useless human like Shang to save them. Shang begins to think that their situation is like some of what has happened in the games he has played. Suddenly Isabella groans, and she tells them that she could feel the way her aura is disappearing. Then she suddenly notices that her body is changing into a human form, and this makes everyone present shocked. The priest tells the queen that her body changed because her aura has been depleted. Then the queen becomes surprised, and she asks the priest how she is going to face her people. But the ladies present tells her that they would be with her. Then they also tell her that they would deal with Shang. But Shang tells them that he is the vice, as he does not want to be in their world. A guard suddenly comes to the palace and announces that the human tribe is about to penetrate into their defenses. Then the priest immediately uses a spell on the queen and the ladies with Shang, so as to teleport them away from the palace before the human tribe comes to attack them. The demon queen immediately asks the priest why he is using the spell, and he tells her that he has to save her, because she has no power to fight with the Earth tribe. The priest suddenly makes all of them disappear, and the reagent from the Earth tribe Angus comes in. And when he asks the priest where the queen is, the priest ignores his question. Isabella and Shang, along with other demons, find themselves outside the castle, and they immediately tell themselves that they have to leave the vicinity before they are being sighted by the Earth tribe soldiers. Suddenly a group of Earth tribe soldiers spot them, and they immediately begin to run after them. Then they shoot an arrow, and it hits a female demon who tells Shang that he should make sure he takes care of the queen. The other demons begin to fight with the Earth tribe soldiers, and as Shang tries to take Isabella away, she disagrees and tells him that she has to avenge her soldiers. But Shang explains to her that she has to escape first, so that she would be able to plan on how to avenge her soldiers. Shang and Isabella suddenly sees that the Earth tribe soldiers have surrounded them, but they could not recognize Isabella as the demon queen because she already has a human body. Then Shang whispers to her that she should not do anything, but she does not listen to him, and she immediately rushes towards the soldiers as a result of her anger towards them. Shang holds Isabella down, and he tells the soldiers that they have been slaves of the demon tribe for long, and it is why Isabella is reacting to them like that, as she is already traumatized from the maltreatment they have gotten from the demon tribe. But as Shang continues to try to convince the soldiers, Isabella looks at him with disgust and anger in her eyes. The soldiers tell each other that they do not care if they are humans because they would get a reward if they can take their skills back to their leader. Shang pulls Isabella to kneel before the soldiers to plead for their mercy, but she whispers to him that he is letting a queen kneel, which is against the traditions of her land, and he tells her that they have to do that so that they would be able to go escape from the soldiers. The soldiers insist on killing the two of them, and they decide to share the rewards according to whoever kills Shang and Isabella first. But as they try to attack them, the head of the White Dragon squad comes towards them on a force, and he asks them what they are doing in the demon tribe, as the king had sent the White Dragon squad, and not the Red Dragon squad, and on hearing this, the words of the leader scares the soldiers off. The head of the White Dragon squad gets down from his force, and he introduces himself as Sophoses. Then Shang thanks him for saving them from the Earth Tribe soldiers. Then Sophoses asks them when they have been captured by the Demon Tribe soldiers, but Shang tries to ignore the question. Sophoses immediately points his sword at Shang, and he gets scared, then lies to Sophoses that they have captured him since when he was little. Then he also adds that Isabella is his wife, but Shang tells himself that Sophoses might not believe the lie he has told him. Sophoses believes what he has told him. Then he asks him why he does not have his clothes on, but as Shang tries to look for the perfect lie to reply him, Sophoses immediately gives him a new cloth and tells him that he understands that the demon tribe must have taken his clothes away when they captured him. Shang begins to wonder why he is having a feeling of a good aura around Sophoses, and he immediately tells them that he would take them home. But Isabella asks him where he is trying to take her to, as she is the ruler of the demon tribe, and she also adds that she would not leave her land for anywhere. But Shang immediately shuts her up as he whispers to her that she should not try to reveal her identity, as they would be in trouble if she does. Luckily, Sophoses did not hear what Isabella had asked him because he got distracted by a guard who came to give him a piece of information about what is going on in the demon tribe. Isabella gets angry at Xiang, and she tells him that he is trying to belittle her. Then she also threatens to take his life when next he tries to belittle her in front of humans. Shang tells her not to do anything to disclose her identity, as they would both be killed if they get to know that she is the demon queen. Shang immediately begins to hail the White Dragon Knights as Isabella watches him with disgust. On the way to the Earth Tribe, Xiang clings onto Isabella and begins to look around as he wonders how the place is well built to resist any kind of danger. Then he also notices that their dress mode is different from that of the demon tribe, and he begins to compare the dress code to that of his real world. But Isabella asks Xiang why he is holding her so tight. Then he tells her that it is his first time of riding a horse, and as a result of that he is getting scared while riding it. Sophoses suddenly calls Xiang Isabella, but Xiang had given him another name for Isabella so as to hide her true identity. As they walk through the city, Xiang notices that traders and everyone bow to them, believing they are knights, which Xiang interprets as a form of respect. However, a man blocks their path, and when the guard tries to inform Sophoses about the man, he interrupts, saying he's already aware of the man's presence. Isabella points out that the man might be of royalty based on his attire, but Xiang disagrees, and one of the guards warns them not to speak ill of the man, revealing he is the reagent's son, who holds the highest authority in the city. Isabella asserts that if she still had her powers, she could easily defeat the reagent and his son. The guard advises Xiang to control Isabella's remarks due to her mental illness, to which Xiang threatens to silence her if she speaks out of turn again. The reagent's son, Buri, informs Sophoses that he initially believed his father had returned from the demon tribe and had even planned a welcoming reception for him. This revelation leaves Sophoses perplexed because they were sent to negotiate a treaty with the demon tribe, but the reagent had gone there himself. Buri explains that the reagent ventured to defeat the demon queen and her people, which piques Sophoses' curiosity since they were unaware of this plan. During their conversation, a man interjects and asks Buri whether the assassination of the demon queen was the king's or the reagent's intention. They soon recognize the man as Sophoses' father, Dita, who holds a high position as the imperial leader in the city. Buri questions why Dita is with them instead of assisting the king with his studies, to which Dita replies that he heard a triumphant call and believed it was the reagent returning. Buri asks Dita if he intends to confront the reagent, but Dita explains that he wouldn't dare. Meanwhile, Chung and Isabella observe this interaction, and Chung inquires with a guard about the newcomer. The guard informs them that the man is Sophoses' father, a resolute individual with differing political views from the reagent, highlighting their contrasting opinions on political matters. Suddenly, the soldiers sound their horns, announcing the arrival of the reagent. As the gates open, Isabella is horrified to see the severed head of one of her soldiers. In her anger, Chung restrains her and advises her to stay calm to avoid blowing their cover. Isabella manages to compose herself, vowing to make Angus, the reagent, pay for his actions against her people. Angus approaches Dita, inquiring if Dita has come to welcome him. Dita acknowledges Angus's actions and directs him to go meet the king. However, Angus insists that Dita accompany him to report on the events in the demon tribe. Barry rushes to his father, but Angus sends him away. Chung warns Isabella about Angus's formidable power, but she dismisses his words. She begins to tell Sean about the danger Angus poses, but their conversation is cut short by a guard's interruption. Certainly, here's the converted sentence. They were instructed to take them to Sophos's residence, and upon arrival, Sean felt excitement well up within him as they beheld the grandeur of the mansion. As they entered the mansion, the butlers graciously welcomed them, stating that the mansion's owners had instructed them to take care of their guests. Isabella, however, voiced her suspicion, suggesting they be cautious, feeling the butlers were being overly friendly. Sean countered her concern, reasoning that if the intention was harm, it would have been carried out already, a sentiment she concurred with. Meanwhile, in the palace, the young king expressed his gratitude to Angus for attempting to establish a truce with the demon queen. Angus pledged his loyalty to the king's orders, but Dita interjected, revealing Angus's treacherous actions in the demon tribe, which resulted in the demon queen's disappearance, rather than fulfilling the king's truce order. Dita alleged that Angus aimed to tarnish the king's reputation by causing conflict with the demon tribe once the queen returned. The king, however, defended Angus, believing there must be a reason for his actions. Angus then presented a report, indicating that Lillian, the demon queen's assistant, had signed a treaty with the demon tribe, which had recognized her as their new ruler in Isabella's absence. Dita suspected betrayal on Lillian's part, but the king, upon reviewing the treaty, dismissed further discussion, allowing the reagent to proceed with his plans as he saw fit. Inside the expansive mansion, Isadora pondered her future as a member of the human tribe and contemplated ways to return to her people. Meanwhile, Sean, in the bathing area, reflected on his enjoyment of the new world and his responsibilities in the real world. He thought about the ring and its potential to facilitate his return, given his fear of the unfamiliar and eerie world he now found himself in. Suddenly, Sophos appeared before Sean in the bath and inquired if he had returned from the palace. Sophos inquires of Sean if they can share a bath, which makes Sean feel uncomfortable at the idea of bathing with another man. After they enter the bath, Sophos mentions his intention to send soldiers to search for their families since they've given limited information about themselves. Sean believes Sophos is trying to find flaws in their stories, and he claims amnesia about his past. However, Sophos shares that he had a kidnapped brother, and Sean senses an opportunity to gather information about his own missing sibling. Sean tries to reassure Sophos, who had hoped to reunite with his brother due to a peace treaty with the demon tribe. Sean admits he couldn't recognize his brother among the numerous slaves. Sean also realizes that Lillian is the traitor who has joined the demon tribe and decides to inform Isabelle. Sophos explains that the reagent is the only intermediary between their tribe and the demon tribe, making it difficult to secure the release of human captives. Sean understands this and points out the disagreements between Sophos' father, Dita, and the reagent, Angus. Sean offers kind words to boost Sophos' spirits. That night, a maid named Alina escorts Sean to his room, and he briefly fantasizes about her being his girlfriend. However, when Sean enters the room to shower, he unexpectedly finds Isabella there and questions her presence. Isabella hushes Sean and warns him not to use her real name since they are being watched by Alina. Sean wonders why they were placed in the same room, and Isabella suggests it might be because he told them they were married. Sean speculates if they are being tested to see if they are truly married, but Isabella urges him to be quiet, as someone is outside their door. Here is the converted sentence. Meanwhile, Alina approaches the couple's door and presses her ear against it to eavesdrop on their conversation. Alina then leaves the door with a smile, and Isabella advises Sean to stop pretending, but he ignores her and even threatens to harm her if she continues to tease him. She goes on to insist that he sleep on the floor to avoid any funny business. As Sean lies down to rest, he inquires whether Isabella can send him back to his own world since she was the one who summoned him. However, she confesses that she doesn't know how to do it, and the priest can't perform the spell either. Sean suddenly remembers the ring and suggests that it might be the key to returning to his world. He asks Isabella to hand over her ring and, when she complies, he rubs the two rings together while willing them to transport him back. After a few minutes of effort, Sean becomes exhausted and frustrated, demanding to know why the rings aren't working. Isabella reveals that the priest used some old transcribed words to summon him. Sean realizes he needs to go to the demon plains to obtain the necessary scrolls to return home. Just as he's about to return the ring to Isabella, he notices that she's already asleep and thinks she's cute. Meanwhile, Alina seeks out Sophos and explains that she had been spying on them because they are from the demon tribe. Sophos pulls her closer and insists she should not spy without his permission, feeling a connection between himself and Sean, possibly as his brother Sophisac. Elena notices that Sophizes hasn't smiled in a while. He asks her to stay the night with him, which she agrees to. The next morning, Sean wakes up and looks for Isabella, but Elena knocks on his door and gives him clothes chosen by Sophizes. Sean asks if she has seen Isabella, and Elena suggests she might be in the garden. Sean dons the clothes and joins Elena in the garden, where he admires Sophizes' archery skills. Sean expresses his amazement at Sophizes' accuracy, and Sophizes offers him a chance to try. Sean declines, claiming he lacks talent. Sophizes mentions that Isabella is skilled with the bow, and Sean reflects on her abilities. A few minutes later, Elena informs them that breakfast is ready, and at the table, Sophizes offers them a place to stay, assigning Elena to teach them how to adapt to life in the kingdom. Isabella expresses her desire to live independently, but Sophizes insists that they can find jobs. Isabella becomes furious at the suggestion of working in a kitchen and loudly voices her objection, ignoring Sean's attempt to calm her down. Furious, Sophizes inquires about the reason for her outburst, and she explains the mistreatment of people in the kingdom. Isabella goes on to recount the story of how humans obtained their powers and spells from a dragon, and how they strengthened themselves through their army. She expresses her desire to attend an esteemed school, hinting at her intention to join and fight for her people. Sophizes asks if revenge is her true goal, but Sean interjects, stating that they both seek revenge after enduring oppression for a long time. Sophizes expresses reluctance to let them enroll if revenge is their sole motivation, but Sean argues that they can be of assistance to him if they become stronger through the school. Sophizes, initially skeptical, starts to believe that Sean genuinely cares about him, and Isabella tells him that he's their only hope to gain admission to the school. Sophizes reassures them that they have the potential to be accepted and begins explaining how the academy's screening process works. Despite Sean's concern that he lacks special skills, Sophizes assures him that he will be fine. Sophizes then assigns a guard to accompany them and instructs the guard to take them to the academy to prepare for their screening. The guard then escorts them to the academy, and Sean reflects that the screening will be his first test in their world. Upon arriving at the school, they witness a teacher named Mike demonstrating his skills by holding a bird in his hand and striking a massive statue without harming the bird. The guard then introduces Sean and Isabella to the teacher, informing him that they are the new students who need to take the entrance test. As Mike approaches the two newcomers, the rest of the students begin to admire Isabella. Mike uses his fear-inducing powers to make them frightened, but Isabella remains unfazed and firmly states that she's not interested in learning combat skills. Instead, she wants to focus on magic and swordsmanship. Mike instructs the pair to follow him, and although Sean is afraid of the teacher, he manages to keep his composure. However, the guard taps Sean on the shoulder, causing him to immediately lose consciousness. A few minutes later, he wakes up and realizes that the arena is now empty. He inquires about what happened, and one of the students explains that he passed out due to the fear induced by Mike's powers. Here is the converted sentence. The teacher informs the student that he has failed the entrance test and offers to help him practice later. After a discussion, Sean befriends the student, who introduces himself as Air. As Air departs, Isabella criticizes Sean for seeking friendships, and they get into an argument. The guard suggests they go to another class to learn combat skills since they can't agree. Meanwhile, in the open-air field, two teachers engage in a fight on the training ground, with their students cheering them on. One teacher, Dorona, teaches swordsmanship, while the other, Azzy, teaches magic skills. They argue over control of the training ground and eventually engage in a battle using their skills. The teachers continue to fight, and as they're about to harm an old man cleaning the field, Sean intervenes and saves him. Dorona questions Sean's identity, but the guard informs her that they are students from Sophoses who want to choose their branch of study. Azzy asks if the principal has been informed, and the guard assures them that Sophoses has taken care of it. Dorona expresses her desire to test their powers. Sean is surprised by the mention of powers, but Isabella approaches Dorona to take the test. Azzy hands Isabella a magic ball, and the guard explains that it measures a person's boundary power. The ball begins to glow brightly in Isabella's hands, indicating strong boundary power, and she is admitted to the class. Azzy approaches Isabella and inquires about her past magical training, to which Isabella explains her lost boundary force. Azzy offers to take Isabella into her class. The students in the magic skill class become excited, anticipating the arrival of a new, beautiful girl in their class. Dorona congratulates Azzy for having an extraordinary student. After the test, Isabella goes to retrieve a sword, and they try to inform her that she's already been accepted into one class. However, she insists on trying her abilities, expressing her desire to learn both skills. Dorona agrees to test Isabella's abilities. Dorona then asks her students if anyone is willing to guide the new student, and Viri, the son of the reagent, volunteers to spar with her. Dorona clarifies that the fight is just a test, and Viri promises to go easy on Isabella. Shang discreetly warns Isabella to be careful, mentioning that Viri has a questionable reputation. The fight begins, with Viri launching a series of attacks at Isabella. She skillfully dodges each one, earning praise from the students who think Viri is strong due to his fighting skills and his status as the best in the class. After dodging Viri's attacks, Isabella decides to counterattack, rushing towards him and using her own sword to strike his. She employs a special technique, overwhelming Viri. In response, Viri resorts to using his boundary force, a prohibited move, to strike her. As Isabella starts to fall, a student named Lei intervenes and saves her using his own powers. Shang expresses his gratitude to Lei for rescuing his wife, surprising the other students with the revelation that Isabella is married to him. Dorona questions Viri about his use of forbidden powers, despite her warning not to do so. Viri claims it was an act of self-defense. Isid then tells Viri that he will never be as strong as Lei and introduces him to Xnong and Isabella as her apprentice. She suggests that Lei has found a suitable match for him, and Viri bows, promising to practice and become stronger. Lei approaches Isabella and respectfully bows, requesting her guidance. Dorona inquires if Isabella learned her techniques from the renowned Mocha, to which Isabella confirms, leading to a buzz among the students who discuss Isabella's immense power. Isabella appreciates Dorona for demonstrating a skill she had observed, and Dorona immediately accepts her into her class, sparking joy among the students for their new classmate. The two teachers engage in a dispute over which class Isabella should join. However, before they can settle the matter with a duel, Shang intervenes, revealing that he has not undergone a test. The teachers hand him a magic ball, but after a few minutes, it fails to emit any light. Isabella insults Shang, branding him as useless, and states that she had known this from the moment he arrived. Shang feels disheartened, but Dorona offers him consolation, suggesting he can learn swordsmanship but won't be able to defeat those who have harnessed their boundary power. As the teachers and students depart the field, Buri confronts Shang, insulting him for his perceived uselessness and lack of intelligence. Buri tells Shang to leave their school, as he doesn't belong. Isabella reprimands Buri for his insult towards Shang, and Shang asserts that his wife would support him, even if he is not gifted. Shang expresses his intention to explore other branches for further study, but Isabella advises him to stay and work hard, assuring him that he'll improve. The two teachers resume their argument over who will teach Isabella, while Shang departs with a guard, seeking more information about boundary power and force. The guard advises him to choose a path that doesn't rely on his innate abilities. Sure, here is the converted sentence. Having recognized that Shang is lacking in combat skills, the group proceeds to the forgery skill section. Upon arrival, they find other students busy sketching sword diagrams. Shang examines some of the drawings, realizing their poor quality, but the students dismiss him, considering him a disturbance. He apologizes and inquires of a nearby guard why the students are drawing instead of working with metals. A voice answers, and Shang turns to find their forgery teacher, Martin. The students pay their respects to their master, and Martin instructs them to continue their drawings. The guard greets Martin and informs him of Shang's capture by the demon tribe, leading to his lack of understanding about the world. Martin offers to demonstrate and takes out a special pen from his pocket. He enlarges the pen and uses it to create a lifelike sword image. After finishing the drawing, he commands it to come to life, and the drawing transforms into a real sword. Shang is astonished by Martin's ability and asks if he used any form of magic. Martin explains that no magical powers or boundary forces are needed for forgery, and reveals that the pen is crafted from special crystals of varying grades, which are responsible for the forging process. Sure, here is the converted sentence. The students become increasingly upset as Shang continues discussing the concept of boundary power. The guard promptly admonishes Shang, warning him not to bring up the topic of boundary force in the presence of the students, as they lack such abilities. In response, Shang humbly prostrates himself before the teacher, earnestly entreating Martin to accept him as one of his students. Martin grants Shang a test in the art of forgery, and Shang surpasses their expectations, displaying remarkable drawing skills. The students are in awe of his talent, and Martin reassures Shang that he will excel in the class. Shang is amazed by how his skills could prove useful to him. While imploring the teacher, another student approaches him and imparts the 3 rules governing the forgery class. As Shang hears these rules, he convinces himself that they are essential to follow. Shang continues his plea to Martin, and the guard intercedes with the teacher, highlighting Shang's friendship with Sophises, the leader of the White Dragon Army. The teacher decides not to miss the chance of having such a talented student in his class. Martin then hands Shang an aura crystal pendant, which serves as an entry pen for all students, advising him to take good care of it. Shang gazes at the pendant with wonder, believing it to possess magical qualities. At the royal palace, the king's servants anxiously await the king's next decision regarding a pressing matter. Suddenly, Guro enters the room and informs the king that he has heard of the regent's intention to order the execution of the Minister of Agriculture. Guro questions why such an idea was conceived, and the king's servant proceeds to explain the reasons, mentioning the relentless threat of mindless beasts in the east. The protagonist wonders why they would want to establish peace with their adversaries. They attempt to explain their concerns to the king, but a servant interrupts, declaring it's too late, and orders the guards to bring in the captives. As the captives, who are actually beasts, enter, Guru recognizes them. The beasts explain that they were apprehended while receiving supplies from their own army. Guru is puzzled and questions why they would go to such extremes. The servant immediately commands the opening of a box they brought, revealing a severed head inside. Shocked, the king demands an explanation from the regent. The servant pleads with the king to allow him to deal with the regents and exile them to Sato, where they will face punishment. He also proposes that, in a week's time, they will lead the Black and Grey Dragons team to bring about the Eastern tribe's downfall. The regents are surprised as this wasn't what they were promised, and they are told to plead for the king's mercy. The Black Dragon warns that the human tribe is the most cunning and that darkness will consume their hearts. Guru confides in Baru, expressing uncertainty about the worsening situation, and advises the king to halt actions that could provoke unnecessary tensions among the other tribes. The servant who was guarding the prisoners secretly frees them and then informs the king that the monsters have escaped, emphasizing the need to stop them. The monster leader becomes furious because they have initiated a conflict with his tribe, and he plans to use the king as retribution for their actions. He advances to attack the king, but Sophos intervenes, warning him not to show disrespect in front of the monarch. In response, he pushes Baru away, leading to Baru's immediate demise. The king begins to feel fear, and Guru discloses to the servant that this was his plan all along. The servant responds with a smile. Meanwhile, back in the city, Xing realizes that he has arrived at his destination and notices that it resembles one of the portals he encounters in his video games. He inquires about the portal's destination from a nearby soldier, who explains that it transports students from the academy to their residences, with this particular portal leading to the northern residences. The soldier advises Xing that if he wishes to continue his studies at the school, he will need to stay on campus. Xing observes that Sophos seems like a great person but notices an unusual stare from him and decides he doesn't want to return. He instructs the guard to convey his thanks to Sophos and is handed a key. Puzzled by the key's purpose, the guard informs Xing that the team leader has already arranged for his return if he decides not to live there. The guard also promises to assist with Xing's living arrangements and mentions a residence in the Eastern Hall. Xing appreciates Sophos' kindness and pledges to search for his brother if he ends up in the demon tribe. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Sophos questions his father about whether the king will heed their advice, and his father reassures him, highlighting the capabilities of the Minister of Agriculture and the Great Dragon team as the king's best men. He then assures Guro that he'll intervene if anyone tries to separate them. Upon reaching the entrance, Sophos instructs the guard to inform the king that his father wishes to meet with him. The guards inform Sophos that only Guro, the master of the art of Guro, is permitted to enter the room. Sophos questions if this is truly the king's wish, but his father advises him to wait outside. Guro enters and discovers that the king is absent from the room, instead encountering the king's servant, who questions if Guro was frightened by what he witnessed. Sophos stands outside, waiting, and notices a presence behind him, realizing it's Sato. Sophos wonders why Sato is there, but Sato reveals he has always fought alongside the White Dragon team, which is under the king's control. Sophos explains that they were created by the king and is puzzled about why he is concerned with who controls them. Suddenly, Sophos senses that something may be amiss with his father and contemplates rescuing him. Sato warns that it's a perilous move to enter. Sophos inquires if they intend to harm his father, but Sato bursts into laughter, claiming that he controls everything and that Sophos can't alter the situation. Sophos draws his sword and demands to know their plans for his father. Sato smiles and informs him that he doesn't have control over anyone. Sato suggests that Sophos has the potential to become a hero and questions whether he's content being a complacent leader. In response, Sophos threatens to strike him down for daring to attack his father. Sato urges him to remain calm, explaining that the regent merely wants to show his father the true state of the capital.